Hey, what's going on, Evercade Videos? My name's Evercade. Welcome to the channel, and today I want to talk about what a Gen 2 Evercade could be. Now, for those who don't know, obviously Sean Cleaver has confirmed on Evercast recently that we're not getting another Evercade system this year, which to me is actually pretty good news because obviously we already have the Evercade handheld, the EXP, and the VS. We had obviously systems released every year since Evercade was released back in 2020, so it's good to finally have a break. But he did tease that there would be something more like in 2025 or beyond. Now, in my opinion, I think a Gen 2 Evercade could be great, but there are a few things they need to do. And for those of you saying, we already have a Gen 2 Evercade, that's the Evercade VS or the Evercade EXP. The Evercade EXP and the VS are only slightly more powerful than the original Evercade handheld, with the processors being about, I think it was like, what, 0.2 or 0.3 percent stronger and faster, so that I don't think that's much of a difference. But for me, I feel like for a Gen 2 Evercade, we would need to see, obviously, something bigger. Something bigger in terms of scope of what consoles it could emulate and the names they would get. Because for those who don't know, obviously we have systems like the C64, the NES, Super Nintendo, Mega Drive, all that sort of stuff has games easily emulated on the Evercade handheld, VCS, and EXP. But what could a next gen Evercade do that sort of like makes it seem like, hey, we can do bigger, we can go bigger? Well, there are a few systems that come to mind for me. Those including stuff like the Atari Jaguar, the Sega Saturn, the Sega Dreamcast, the PlayStation 2, the Neo Geo systems. There's quite a few things they could go about with this. Now, personally, I feel like the most likely one would be the Atari Jaguar, but due to Evercade and PlayStation having a good working relationship with Atari. Sega Saturn would be cool, but once again, that'd be kind of awkward because you need to get obviously a working Sega Saturn emulator, and even Sega hasn't got one of them work, which is kind of scary. Uh, Dreamcast would be fun. But you'd obviously need to have a revamped control scheme with obviously joysticks and whatnot added to the Evercade system for it to work. There's a lot that they need to do. And yeah, another thing I think that they should do for a Gen 2 Evercade is allow you to basically, when you buy a copy of the game, when you like, how you got the unlock games with like some things, like say you put the two Atari cartridges into the Evercade VS, you unlock a secret game. Have all that stuff available on the thing digitally, on the system digitally, where you put both cartridges in, like you don't, not at the same time, so you put one and then you put the other in, and then it's like, oh, here's a free game. It's now available in your game section. Now, I also feel like another thing that they could do, and this might be a controversial point for me to mention, but I feel like a digital store is a must for a next gen Evercade, just due to the number of cartridges that have already been discontinued. Now, we've obviously lost 5 cartridges so far. There's been the Namco carts, the Oliver Twins collection, the Techno's home console collection, and now Pico 1. Those all have some great games on them, so preferably, if Blades makes the next gen Evercade, which they probably will, hopefully we could have like a little digital store for like, let us buy the games or like the collections digitally that have been discontinued physically. That would just be a fun little thing to me. Another thing they need to do is get some bigger names when it comes to games. Stuff like Sega would be a good one, Konami, SNK. Quite a few big names would benefit and allow Evercade to continue to grow and gain more traction as a platform when compared to the likes of modern systems, which are obviously a lot more powerful, but also gives us more variety in games to play. And the final point I think they need to do, they need to make sure that this next gen Evercade is affordable, but also has improvements spec wise and is able to obviously run better games and whatnot. And what I mean by that is like allow them to have more native ports. Hopefully they have joysticks on this next one, so you can control games for like the PlayStation and whatnot better. I just think that would be a huge one up and make the system a lot more, a lot more usable, a lot more better, a lot better in a lot of people's lives, or a lot of people's eyes, because they have these new specs, these new control scheme. It'd just be easier to emulate a lot more systems as well. Now, what does happen? I don't know. I saw Evercade Effect made a videos talking about an Evercade 2.0, so I want to talk about a Gen 2 Evercade. So these are my thoughts on what to do for a next gen Evercade. Obviously, I made a video nearly a year ago saying about how we need an upgraded Evercade handheld in 2022. We have obviously got that system with the Evercade EXP, but I want to address this and say that if we ever get a follow-up to the EXP, this is what they need to do. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. Do you agree? Would you like to see a Gen 2 Evercade? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment, turn on notifications, all that stuff. I put tons of videos on retro games and systems, so if you're new, check them out. I've been Evercade and I'm signing out. Peace.